Well, I'd like to talk to us a little bit tonight about the Constitution, and I know it's kind of a rare document anymore. We don't hear a lot about it, but we do hear a lot about a lot of other things. And I think if we would recognize it today that we're living more under statutory law than we are under constitutional law. And probably about 90% of our lawmaking today is under statutory laws rather than going through our Congress, going through our House of Representatives, the Senate, and so on, as it's designed by the Constitution. And so therefore we wind up with a lot of things like we're talking about here tonight. I want to take us this evening and talk about the delegated powers that the Constitution delegates to the federal government. And I'd like to start with and remind us again that we the people are the sovereign power. With a Republican form of government or a representative form of government, we elect our representatives to act on our behalf and to secure our God-given unalienable rights, so that we the people have delegated certain powers to our Congress, that meaning the House of Representatives and the Senate, also known as the enumerated powers of the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, the Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, excises, and to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and the general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among several states and with Indian tribes. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. To coin money, regulate the value thereof, and of foreign coin, and to fix the standard of weights and measures. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and the current coin of the United States. To establish post offices and post roads. To promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. To define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the law of nations. To declare war. Grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water, to raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be longer for a longer term than 2 years. To provide and maintain a navy, to make rules for the government and regulation on the land and the naval forces, to provide for calling forth the militia, to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia, and for governing such part of them as may be employed in the service of the United States, reserving the states respectively the appointment of the officers and the authority of training the militia according to the discipline described by Congress. To exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such district, not exceeding 10 square miles, as may be by cession of particular states and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of government of the United States, and to exercise like authority over all places purchased by the consent of the legislator of the state in which the same shall be for the erection of forts, magazines, arsenals, dockyards, and other needful buildings, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all the other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. That pretty well lays out the powers that was delegated to the federal government by the sovereign people. I'd like to read the 10th Amendment to our federal Constitution. The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states, respectively, or to the people. So those that are not delegated have been reserved for the states and for the people, and the federal government is limited on their powers. There is some things in which that are prohibited for the states, and it spells that out likewise. And I'd like to share that with us also here this evening. Article 1, Section 10 tells us the things that are prohibited by the people and by the federal government for the states to do. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque or reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold or silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any imposts or duties or imports or exports except what may be absolutely necessary for the executing its inspection laws. And the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state or imports or exports shall be for the use of the Treasury of the United States. And all such laws shall be subject to the revision and the control of Congress. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops, or ships of war in time of peace, or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit for delay. So there is the things there that the states cannot do. I'd like to take us to our Colorado Constitution. And I think that it is a very profound statement as to the authority and the powers of our state government. We hear so little about our state constitution and very little about the federal constitution anymore, really. When we start listening to the things that, like Dexter was promoting, or was read to us, that other people were promoting, not Dexter, but how many of those were constitutional? How many of those goals do we find authority for our government to enact or to put upon the people, those powers? Our Colorado State Constitution. I want to read the preamble to the Colorado State Constitution. We, the people of Colorado, with profound reverence for the supreme ruler of the universe, in order to form a more independent and perfect government, establish justice ensure tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the state of Colorado. I think it's a very profound preamble. Article 1 lays out the boundaries for the state of Colorado, and I don't want to do that one. But I want to go into Article 2, the Bill of Rights. In order to assert our rights, acknowledge our duties, and proclaim the principles upon which our government is founded, we declare. Section 1, the vestment of political power. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. All government of right originates from the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. Section 2, people may alter or abolish their form of government. The people of this state, listen very carefully, the people of this state have the sole and exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state, and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Section 3, inalienable rights. All persons have certain natural, essential, and unalienable rights, which among may be reckoned the right of enjoying and defending their lives and liberties, and acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, and of seeking and obtaining their safety and happiness. I think that's a good statements in our Constitution. We need to, in the very best of our abilities, to try to get men in our state legislators that's aware of these statements in our Constitution and will support them and stand for them and honor their oath that they take. What does their oath of office commit? What does it commit to? Defending and upholding the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Colorado. We have the sole right of governing ourselves. And I think if we would look at it real closely, it's quite evident that our form of government tells us and shows us that the state of Colorado is sufficient to govern itself solely and altogether. Why do we have a governor? To govern the state of Colorado, right? Why do we have a Senate and a House of Representatives for the state of Colorado? To make laws and to govern the state of Colorado. Why do we have a judicial system? Because we have a judicial system to deal with the problems in our own state. So I think it's quite evident that by design, our government was formed that the states would be able to govern themselves outside of the delegated powers that they have given to the federal government. We claim the others. And it's not only our right, but I want to tell us tonight, people, that it's our obligation. It's the obligation of the men that we send to our legislators, as our legislators. It's their obligation to fulfill the oath of office and to protect the rights of the people of the state of Colorado. We need to educate them, and we need to find people that are educated, and that's how we will overcome, is through educating. And the states have to take back their powers. I think that's the only avenue we got. First, we start in our county. And we have to have men that will stand, and I trust that our brother James here will do so. Will stand by the oath of office to protect the rights of the people of the state of Colorado. I believe it's a very serious step that a man takes when he swears before God, in the presence of God and before the people, to uphold the Constitution of the state of Colorado or the federal Constitution. I think it's a very serious act that a man commits himself to, because we commit in their trust some of the most valuable possessions that we have, and that's our rights and that's our liberty. And we trust them to protect them for us. Thank you.